All right, hey guys, welcome to the video. If you're new here, my name's Curtis, and today we're gonna be talking about a new fragrance discovery for me. This is Geranium Pour Monsieur from the house of Frederic Malle. So if you're curious to hear my thoughts and opinions on this fragrance, then let's go. All right guys, so here is my bottle of Geranium Pour Monsieur. Sorry if I'm kind of butchering the French pronunciation there. But you know, I had gone fragrance shopping in Tokyo. So when I do fragrance shopping in Tokyo, usually I'll go to the No Shop or I'll go to this place called Hankyu. And at this fragrance boutique called Hankyu, it's located inside basically this department store. And there's always one lady there, staff there, that helps me out. And I tend to go to her. She's very nice, extremely knowledgeable. And she always, you know, introduces me to some fragrances that maybe I haven't experienced yet, or if I have questions about certain fragrances, she's able to answer them for me. So she's extremely helpful. And anyways, and actually she is the one who I bought Portrait of a Lady from. So yeah, thanks to her, that was kind of my, as you guys know, kind of my gateway into rose fragrances. And so she was the one that kind of introduced me to that fragrance. And the other day when I was there, I was shopping around, and so she introduced me to Geranium Pour Monsieur. And what she was telling me was that, you know, Geranium Pour Monsieur is a fragrance that, you know, it came before Portrait of a Lady. And so, but this fragrance was the fragrance that inspired the creation of Portrait of a Lady. So I found that extremely interesting. So, you know, I sampled this fragrance and man, I really enjoyed it. And in a way I can kind of see like, okay, this is, you know, how Portrait of a Lady was inspired. And I kind of got a sense of that while I was wearing this fragrance. And anyways, so I had gone back. You know, I had left that day. I didn't make any purchases, but I went back the other day and I ended up purchasing this fragrance. Now, what is so special about this fragrance? Well, you know, not only was it the kind of, you know, I guess the kind of base and the inspiration for Portrait of a Lady, but the wearing experience of this one is special. Now, this is a very mint, kind of slightly herbal green, fresh fragrance, but the mint is so dominant in here. And I think to probably many people, the mint in here might come off slightly toothpastey in a way. But, you know, after doing a bit of research, this fragrance was actually inspired by Frederic Malle and the mouthwash that his father used to use. And I'll try to put a picture of it on the screen here. And so interestingly, I guess that's why there's kind of like that toothpastey type of vibe, but not in a bad way by any means at all. It's just the mint in here can kind of slightly give off that effect. But, you know, again, it's nothing off-putting or anything like that. It is very, very well done. But that's where the inspiration kind of came from, was that mouthwash that Frederic Malle's father used to use. So when he met with Dominique Ropion, he kind of discussed, hey, you know, we want to create something that's kind of inspired by this. And then hopefully that fragrance that we make can inspire other fragrances down the line, hence where Portrait of a Lady came from. And there's probably some others as well. I'm just, you know, haven't done enough research to kind of speak about that. But anyways, this is a very mint, heavy, fresh, green, kind of slightly spicy, aromatic fragrance. This fragrance is very aromatic. And what's interesting about this is the mint lasts through the entirety of this fragrance. And you know, if you've experienced mint in fragrance, a lot of times what happens is mint is a note that can, you know, evaporate rather quickly. You know, it tends to kind of subside, and usually towards like the mid or even dry down of that fragrance, you can't really pick up on it so much anymore. But in this fragrance, I can pick it up through its entirety. Now, with that said, you know, of course, the top and the base are a bit different. There's no doubt about that. So, the mint is heavily dominant at the beginning of this fragrance. And as you move into the dry down, the mint kind of takes a sidestep to make room for a bit of sandalwood and some very polished, kind of white musky notes, or some musk that starts to push forward in this fragrance. However, with that said, even though that this mint takes a sidestep, it is still there and still quite prominent in this fragrance. So it doesn't ever really go away. So, I mean, you can definitely pick up on the mint and you know that it's there. So that's what's really impressive, is the fact that Dominique Ropion, he is the perfumer here, he was able to get that mint to last the entirety of this fragrance. Now, granted, you know, it kind of steps aside slightly, but it's there, which is quite impressive. This fragrance is just very minty fresh, and it is the perfect wear for a fragrance in the spring and summer, in my opinion. And I do have a few wearings of this fragrance, and so what I can say about its longevity and its performance and projection and all that is that the longevity, I get about 7 to 8 hours on skin. Projection is moderate, you know, it's not a beast or anything like that. It does, you know, you'll definitely pick up whiffs. So it does leave like a moderate sillage. And I feel like for me, that's the perfect kind of performance for this fragrance. If this fragrance was beastly, I feel like that mint could be a bit overbearing for some people because it is quite prominent and sharp. However, I feel like when that sandalwood and the musk start to push forward, it really helps to smooth out the sharp edges of that mint. And kind of like I was saying before, like mint is one of those notes that I do feel like can be a bit polarizing for some people because, you know, it can come off quite sharp and toothpastey. And people, you know, even for me too, like if mint comes off in a toothpastey type of way, I'm not the biggest fan. Now, like I said, it does kind of have that vibe here, but I love it. Like it works in this fragrance. And I don't know if it's because of the way Dominique Ropion constructed the notes, and you know, he did have a bit of clove and cinnamon in here. I don't get it too much of a spicy effect, but you can definitely tell that it's here. I mean, that mint kind of provides a bit of spiciness as well. So I don't know if it's the combination of notes which makes this like, you know, doable for me in terms of the mint and how it comes across, but yeah, it just works. But yeah, this is a fragrance that will work perfectly in the spring and the summertime. You can easily pull this one off in the summertime. And what I'm excited to see is how this fragrance performs in the humidity here in Japan. And I'm also curious to see if it changes like the performance of it in terms of its sillage and longevity. I think longevity will probably stay the same, but in terms of its sillage, if it makes it a bit more prominent or how it's gonna affect the performance in that way. But man, yeah, Dominique Ropion has done a masterful job here. You know, I do love Portrait of a Lady a lot. You know, it is a masterpiece, and to kind of know that this fragrance was the inspiration for Portrait of a Lady, it's just something special. And you know, I'm really appreciative for the lady at Hankyu to kind of let me know those facts about this. You know, it just further you know, deepens my knowledge about, you know, fragrances, and I'm always trying to learn. So yeah, I'm very appreciative for that. But this is a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Kind of like I said, you have got to love mint, but you've also got to kind of enjoy green fragrances. This does have green nuances to it, but it is just very fresh and crisp. It's bright. Frederic Malle as a house has some really just amazing fragrances. You know, obviously Portrait of a Lady, Synthetic Jungle is another one that I love. Synthetic Nature now is the new name. Geranium Pour Monsieur. And there's a few others like Carnal Flower. Rose and Queer is another one that I'm quite a big fan of as well. Musc Ravageur. I mean, so they just have some bangers. I do know that Frederic Malle has stepped down from his role from his own brand. So I'm curious to kind of see where this brand goes, what direction they're going to go in. I hope that they're able to still put out quality like they have in the past, but I guess that's yet to be determined. But yeah, Geranium Pour Monsieur, beautiful fragrance, and it's definitely one to check out. So if you can, get yourself a sample of Geranium Pour Monsieur by Frederic Malle. All right, guys, so that's all I have for you for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed today's content. And let me know down in the comment section, have you tried Geranium Pour Monsieur? What are your thoughts and opinions? I'd love to hear them. Well, I hope you guys are staying healthy and well, and I'll see you in the next video.